Guys, welcome to episode 4 of the Roots of Success podcast. I am your host, Nate the Great Peterman, and I have a very, very special guest today, my man Micah Biffle. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Nate? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing amazing today. Real quick, I just want to give a quick, brief background, quick intro for you, my man. So Micah is currently based out of Everett, Washington, where he spends a lot of his time writing and creating blogs, short stories, poems, as well as, of course, books. He's an author who has a book out called A Man's Traveled Heart, as he presents 41 short stories in the book, which revolve around everyday struggles, vulnerable protagonists dealing with love, loss, traumatic pasts, fantasies, and much more. He's currently working on a second book as we speak called The Bleeding of Words, which is a much deeper version of his first book. Be sure to cop that. The release date will be sometime this upcoming fall. And for those of you who don't know, Micah he's also a U.S. Army veteran, as he spent 4 years in the infantry and served in Iraq for 12 months. Wow, man, you got a lot.
Done a few things. Don't forget my college degree, psychology.
Psychology, there we go.
Yeah. Trying to do it all, you know.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, man. So, yeah, I've actually known Micah for 2 years, as we actually connected through Twitter, a matter of fact, and we really just hit it off after that. You know, social media and everything nowadays. During my business travels last month, I was in Seattle, and we finally got the chance to meet up for the first time. And one thing about me and Micah, or Micah and I, to say is we have the same personality. So, hey, we vibe right away.
Yeah, we do.
Heck yeah. But yeah, man, sort of, I know that was a little bit of a brief intro, a little brief background, sort of give the audience some more in-depth of, who you are as a person, really what got you to where you're at today, man.
Man, what got me to where I am today? A whole lot of self-searching. Especially after getting out of the military, I went from having my life set out from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, and then separating from that, just came to having to figure my life out. I was like, I got all this freedom. What do I do with it? Kind of went down a dark path for a little while. Tried to pick myself up multiple times, and then one day I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go to college. That puts some sort of direction in my life, and I hate school so much. Like my entire high school, I skipped so many days. I was sick all the time. I never really, and I got like F's, D's, couple C's, couple B's. I had to take my senior year and my junior year at the same time just to graduate on time. Somehow pulled that off. And then I only did that because I wanted to join the Army, because I was like, I want to become something. I want to have purpose in my life. So joined the Army. And then after that, went to college. I was like, college gave me some sort of direction. And there I started taking classes that kind of helped me search who I was. And then I fell back into my writing when I was younger. I always liked to write poetry and whatnot. And I was that typical guy that would write poetry for his girlfriends, But, I got made fun of for that at some point. So I kind of threw that to the wayside, didn't pick it up till probably my second or third year in college. And I started writing things down, just kind of what came to mind. And I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to write a book. So I had all these short stories I had been writing for 6 months. I compiled those, and then I wrote probably another, 50 more, and then just picked the ones that I wanted out of it, along with poems that go with those short stories. And then during my third year of college, I would just go home, do my homework, write. Go home, do my homework, write. Weekends came by, friends would be like, what do you want to do? It's like, I gotta write. It was just getting things done nonstop as fast as I could, but in a very quality style way, and not just kind of rush through it all. But just a lot of getting involved in myself, and having to say no to people. A lot of times it's like, hey, come out and party. It's like, no, I know how's when I go out party. I slack. I don't do the right thing. I get involved with the wrong people. That keeps happening, so not repeating the history and kind of learning from what I did in the past, learning from those mistakes, and then adding those lessons to my life now, and still learning from mistakes that I made in the past and figuring them out. But that's kind of just the gist of how I got to where I am now. It's just consistency and learning myself and keeping a process going, and not getting too far straight away from it. And always, I got to reel myself in quite a bit often, but I definitely got it more nailed down of who I am and what I need to do to get to where I want to be in my life. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's funny. You said every time you got like done with school for the day, that you would immediately go to writing, right?
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people, it's typically the opposites, right? It's typically they go home and they play video games or they go, and do something that doesn't better themselves in their lives.
Yeah.
I think that's cool, like for you, because you went from from school to immediately back into writing. And some people look at that, oh, well, you're still doing school, it's writing, but that's what you're passionate about. And I think that's incredible. So, I mean, for those of you who are listening, I mean, Mike is a prime example of, he's already been operating in his gift. So I guess that sort of leads to the question of when did you truly and really realize that you had the gift of writing?
Oh man. Oh geez. I'd probably honestly, I probably wouldn't say I kind of felt that until I got done with my first book. Like when I was writing it, I wrote it. There's something to it. Didn't know what it was, but I was kind of just writing. I was like, man, I really enjoy this. I want to keep doing it. So I kept doing it, and then after I finished my first book, and it really clicked for me because when I had to start editing it, and that's like the most torturous thing ever. So I like don't enjoy it, but still do it because it needs to be done. But I just remember sitting there and I'm going through editing, and I felt like it took longer to edit than it did to write. But I'm going through, and I'm reading things that I read and going through and refining and whatnot. And it really, when I started pretty much falling in love with just not editing itself, but going through and looking at what I wrote and understanding it and why is it I wrote that, and then it was just, whoa, okay, there's something of value to this. I need to start getting more involved in it and share it. It's just getting it, I don't know, seeing the results from all the energy that I put forth kind of just shine a light of like, dude, this is what you can do. This is what you've been given. You might as well use it and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really amazing just how you identified that. I mean, even it just goes to show like, we all have a gift, but a lot of us might not discover it right away. But like you, for example, you wrote that first book, and that's really what, made you, wow, like I could make a, not just a living, but I could really make it, just by
Mm-hmm.
writing. And I think a lot of people that get twisted up nowadays, whether it's in their everyday work life, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, right? I mean, everybody has different views on things, but a lot of people they want to stand out. They want to do what some of these other people are doing, right? Yeah, they'd love to make money off books and stuff, and they just I don't know. It's just they just don't do it, and I guess
Yeah.
that's what brings in the topic of like doing. So
Mm-hmm.
for you, like I guess what advice would you give to somebody that has a hard time of like not just doing something but actually starting on something?
Starting something, I would honestly, I was thinking about that today. I was kind of figuring like, what am I going to talk about? Like, how can I nail this down? The whole thing of processing, getting things done, like the process of getting things done and doing things. It's not simple. There's a lot to it, but I guess to get started is find out what it is that you want to do, whether you think you should be doing it or not. Like, let's say there's some sort of project that you want to do. Like me, I did a bunch of small things. I wrote poetry. I tried short stories. I tried writing a novel. I tried doing this and that until I found out what I wanted to actually do. But in order to do that, you got to find how can you get there? What is in your way? You got to ask those questions of what's distracting me from this. Am I always saying yes to everything when someone says, hey, you want to go out? Hey, you want to go eat? Hey, you want to go see this movie? Hey, you want to just sit at home and watch Netflix all day? You got to find those priorities in life that aren't adding up to what you want to get done. And especially, it's always that one first hurdle because it's a big step. I think that's like the biggest step you ever take when it comes to doing any sort of major project is getting that first step in the door, because it's a scary one to do, because once you get it, you have to commit. Like if you don't go all in, like you only put your toe in when you're going to start, then you're for sure just gonna get out. It's like, when during summertime when it's not exactly hot yet, but you want to go swimming and you put your foot in the water rather than just jumping in. So you touch the water like, oh man, that's cold. So you kind of step back for a second, and then you got to really think like, oh, should I just jump in? Yeah, I'll jump in. And some people don't, and they wait longer. And some people just jump in. It's kind of what you got to do to an extent is open the door and just put your foot in there and just put your other foot in there and go, and see where it takes you and see what's distracting you. Like I think that's the biggest thing getting started is getting rid of those distractions, whether it's friends, family, TV shows you're hooked on, whatever it may be. We all have some sort of distraction.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, shoot, I look at, just this podcast right now. I've been wanting to do this for the past 2 years, to be honest, and I just didn't do it. I had so many distractions. I had so many things that just came up, and I was like, you know what, I'll get to it. Don't worry about
Hmm.
it. But once this year came, I said to myself, I said, Nate, you need to make this happen. All right, I don't know how you're going to do it, but you just need to execute because I tend to be a perfectionist, of course, as I'm sure you know, and that right there can definitely be one of the main things that holds people back. So
Hmm.
I know you said about like, getting rid of distractions and things. So what would you say is that main distraction, people have in their life that's just, it holds them back from even starting? You know what I mean?
Themselves.
Mm,
I think a lot of times we put ourselves down, whether it's you say you can do it or you say it's too much or you call yourself a procrastinator. You call yourself procrastinator, you're going to think about that and you're going to put all these excuses in your head as why you're not going to do it before you even start it. So it's just like, it's literally having to put yourself stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself and be like, okay, what am I thinking about? Because it's a thought process in you is really going to dictate whether you're going to get something started or not. Do you really care about it enough, or do you care more about giving yourself to your friends and letting them do whatever the heck they want to do with you? Not like actually anything harmful, but they're taking away from what you want to do. They're taking you out to the bars or they're taking you out to movies. Like I was saying, all these distractions. And if you don't find value in yourself of what you're about to do that you want to do, you'll never get started. You always half it. You always, like, I don't know how many times I started when I did think about this book that I started it, and I was like, well, I got homework to do, or I got this to do, or my friends want to hang out. I didn't put any value in myself saying, I need this for me because it's for me and I want to do it because it's something I've been given. And it's like it's so much easier for us to give ourselves to everyone else than it is to give to ourselves. And that's a huge distraction for getting anything started.
no, that's so true, man. Mike is dropping nuggets today, guys. Wow, that's incredible, man. So, let me give you a scenario here. So let's say I'm in, I'm a high school. I'm a senior in high school right now, and you know how a lot of it is college
Mm-hmm.
guidance counselors or people like that, or just counselors in general. They tell you, okay, where do you want to go to school? They push college down your throat, and there's nothing wrong
Mm-hmm.
with that. Don't get me wrong, but let's say I want to do something that might necessarily not need a college degree. How would you personally, whether it's talk to maybe these people, how would you personally approach them in a way where it's like, no, I'm just not going to college or anything? How would
Oh
you
man.
do that, if that makes sense?
Yeah. If my mentality back then, if I was in high school, then just thinking about myself, I would have just done what I did to join the army. I just kind of leapt for it and went for it. Went against the grain. Plenty of people, all my friends going to college, and then with my knowledge now, if I would I would look at my options and find out and really dig into it. I'd put up a plan. I would go ask people, what they did, like ask those people that went straight in the military, or ask those people that went to college, ask family, ask friends, ask whoever's had the experience. Don't take it as the right answer, but take that pieces of knowledge and put them and kind of look at your personality and what you like to do. Is college really something that's going to fit my personality? It's really going to make me want to do what I want to do,
Mm,
or is college going to be a huge distraction and I'm just going to be sitting there grinding away, writing and doing the same thing I was doing in high school and being like, oh, I really hate this. Like, I'll never forget all through my school year, even in elementary, I was a good kid that sit there, be quiet. But every time I had to do homework or anything in class, I was like systematic. I was just didn't get into it, and I had multiple teachers tell me I'm an idiot, right in class. And it was just being a young kid. It's like, oh, okay, so I am an idiot. I don't get it. So you don't want to take value. You don't want to take anything people tell you for 100%. If you do that, you'll start believing that's what you need to do. And you'll believe that's who you are before you actually even see who you are by exploring yourself and taking those leaps and just diving into the water.
absolutely, that's so true. I look at school nowadays, and I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on in this world, to say the least. Just with schools and just with how people are taught, especially the kids nowadays, and they're pretty much just given information that really isn't. Maybe they're not even passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or like if somebody doesn't of course it's great to know math, to a point. But if you're not planning on being like a construction worker or, some scientist, then you don't need to know like some of the deeper, courses and the
Hmm.
curriculum, things like that. So I guess, in reading class, that's what it was called whenever I went to school. It's
Hmm.
called English literature or something. But in that class, a problem that personally I had, and I know a lot of students have, is they give you books that necessarily don't interest everybody. They only interest like maybe it's a teacher, right?
Hmm.
I remember a teacher I had, he was really passionate and big into Mark Twain, right? I mean, Mark Twain, he's an incredible author, one of the, greatest of greats. But I guess with that being said, they force these books, down our throats, and not everybody wanted to read those. So I guess for you, let's say, Micah, you're a teacher. What is one thing you could do? Because I'm sure you might agree with that, right? I'm
Hmm.
sure that is something that you agree with. Like everybody has a different taste, everybody has a different genre that they like. What would you do differently if you were a teacher per se, in terms of having people learn what they want to learn in terms of reading?
Well, man, that's hard. There's two things I would say to that, and I'm gonna kind of play two opposite directions
Yeah,
on it.
go for it.
So, first one was it's it sucks that you have to read these books and you have to do these certain things. And there are some things out there that I think are kind of shouldn't be in school. Those should be things taught by the family. But like when it comes down to reading books, I remember fully that I never finished a single book that I got assigned in school. Like I was the guy that would find the chapters and just skip through them and find the big points or go online. This is like when Cliff Notes first came out when I was in high school. So I'd go on there and type, find the Cliff Notes, but a lot of times they wouldn't have the right answer. But I would skim through, and the only reason I would say you can't really, it's as a teacher, you can't really put, hey, let's let every single person do what they want to do, because then everyone's going to be on a total different playing field. And how do you adjust to that? Some people are going to read quicker and the other books faster, and then you kind of got this jumble mess, and how do you work with it? And then so you kind of have, there's some things you just got to deal with through life in order to get where you want to go. Like you may have to put up with the books you don't like. But then on the second side of that, as a teacher, I could also be like, okay, let's cut the class. Here's these amount of books. Let's say you got 4 books, and this class got to pick them out, but there's that 5th book or whatever that everybody has to at least read parts of, like chapters 1 through 4 or whatever. You have to read these and give us short synopsis or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then the other 4 books, you can choose which one you want to do, break up in groups, and then everyone does that. And then at the end of going through the books and reading, everyone presents what they learned from the book. And then and then me as a teacher, we could go through it together and talk the discussions of what they learned, what they found interesting, what were their least favorite parts, what was difficult parts, kind of get really in depth on that. But then the bad part about that was you only have like an hour in class or whatever per class for that. So you would have to really condense all that. And it really takes away from the learning of that, I would think, at least from my experience with, when you have college courses that are shorter time, you get less information. You get a lot of information, but in a shorter time and less time to process it. Now, as having a teacher with one book, everyone can learn it. You have the entire hour to focus on one thing, but life doesn't always work that way either, is you have to be able to adapt to taking what information you can in the amount of time you have and use it. So I guess as a teacher, you'd have to balance out to figure out, what would be the best scenario for reading. And I think reading, the more eclectic you can be with it, would bring more value, even if you get less time to really learn a book, because there's so much in a book. Like you can't, even in like a 300-page book, that can take a long time to go through. I'm already having people tell me in my first book, they're like, it's a lot to digest. And my stories are anywhere between 1 page to 3 pages. And then there's that really thick one at the end that's about 30 pages. But I keep getting told it's a lot of information to go through. So it's like digesting each story. And we don't do that when we read books. We kind of read chapter 1 and we're like, all right, next one. Read chapter 2. All right, next. And even in fiction books, there's a lot to be learned in fiction books. There's a lot. Like if you look at historically, you look at just the hero's journey, and those are in so many books, even up to today. And there's a lot to learn in that. It shows like kind of how the human psyche all learns through morals and what they need to get through and trials and tribulations in order to go through. And like I was saying, there's a lot of things you have to deal with. Like high school is just one of the things you have to deal with, whether you like it or not, and get through it. And I think if you can look at it as a way of kind of learning how to push through something you really hate and get through it, as much resistance as it's giving you, you can grow from that if you take it like that, instead of just being a student every day like I was and just hating it and sitting there and zoning out and letting the teacher just, her lips just move, and you're like, oh, what did she just say for the past 20 minutes? Now I have a D+? Okay.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, that's just something that I don't know. I know not just myself, but so many people that I know, they go through that, and I hear about it. Like, man, they teach us all the wrong books in school, and man, if I would have learned this. But at the end of the day, I mean, it all comes down to, again, what one's passionate about. And shoot, I mean, some people, they simply just don't like reading.
Yeah.
Some people would rather just listen to an audiobook or even like a podcast, for example, like this. And that, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we all learn in different ways. And, obviously we're all human beings at the end of the day. At least I hope we are, right? And that's what it comes down to, right? We need to identify our strengths, identify our weaknesses, right? Not just, within how we read and how we absorb information, but just in life in general, because that's another thing. Like, that's one of the biggest reasons why people can't get to where they want to get to, because they can't even identify, or they think they know what their strengths are, but realistically, those aren't their strengths.
Yeah.
They're identifying their, weaknesses.
Yeah, and it's and when it comes to getting things done, you have to look at like what your strengths are getting those things done. Someone that's really good, like me, I'd say I'm pretty good at writing now. I got it down. I can write 300 words simply, like that pretty much. It takes no effort for me to do, because I know that's a strength of mine, is writing. When it comes down to grammar and editing, I still don't understand the English language 100%. Like, I think I understand some of how commas work, but most of the time they're wrong when I think they're right. So I hand off my work to someone that understands editing, that understands grammar, that can put the missing link there when it comes to finishing my book. You got to look at it that way. Okay, cool. I want to build a piece of furniture, let's say, and you want to build a chair. You can write it. You're really good at drawing up blueprints, but you have no idea how to go about actually building it. Okay, go find someone that knows how to build it that can teach you. Or do you want to just pay them and you be the guy that draws the blueprints because you're really good at doing that and you enjoy that? Architecture is kind of the same thing. A lot of those dudes they just draw and they never touch a piece of construction work. You kind of got to look at what you're good at, what you're not good at, and figure out who can fill that weakness. There's nothing wrong with building up your weakness, but I think it takes a lot away from your focus on being able to grow in your strength, allowing you to get things done more efficiently and effectively, instead of just trying to get it done efficiently. Like, people will focus so much on their weaknesses and their strength that they want to do something that they kind of just rush through it because they're trying to build up their weakness, and they're thinking their strength, because this is their strength, they don't need to build it up. So they just kind of do it halfway, and then they wonder why the results aren't what they wanted.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. So I guess now that you were sort of highlighting in terms of having others like sort of help you out along through the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what is briefly like a quick summary, because I know it's a long process. I'm sure going through really creating a book and things like that. So let's say I have a book, and I wrote my book, and basically I'm ready to just get it out there, but shoot, I don't know where to go to. I mean, do I go to my neighbor to get it published, or so what are the next steps that I need to do once I have a book written, like I got it on the document? What are the next stages to publishing it?
Of course, going through editing, finding an editor. Do you have the money to pay for an editor? Do you have the money to have a friend do it? Do you have a friend that'll do it for fun? That will have no problem doing it because they were going through school for English or whatever. And then you got to go through and look at, okay, how do I need to present this book? Do I want to go through a publisher? And publishers you have to pay an up fee front. It's usually $5,000 to, who knows? There's big publishers out there that'll charge even more than that, but it's usually $5,000, and then you'll get an upfront pay when they print out only a certain amount of books. And then my time researching about publishers is finding out that publishers want you to change your book to a certain way to meet their criteria within their publishing realm. So you go to certain places, they don't want you to put this in because it's this, or they don't want you to put that in because it's too dark or something like that. And me personally, I don't want people to touch my stuff. I don't want it changed. So I stray away from mass publishers for now, and until if I do find someone that will work with me. And then you got self-publishing. You got Amazon, and there's plenty of other self-publishing places, but I've only messed with Amazon so far, kind of looking up different avenues as of right now. And then you pay yourself on that. I would suggest if you are going to do self-publishing, find someone outside of self-publishing to edit, because they charge a lot for a little amount of work when it comes to self-publishing for editing. And then another thing you can do is talk to other authors. You got the internet, you go out there, you can email people, network with people, find out who's published a book through anyone. You find a professor that's published a book, ask them what they've done to get their book out there. Is it successful or not? Even if it's not successful, my book's not successful yet, but I am super proud that I put it out there. It's an opportunity I took, and I seized, and I went with it, and I did what I needed to do to get it done. And, it's part of me. And I can always be proud of that. And I can look back at it and be like, okay, what do I need to enhance in my next book, which I did. I look back at my first book. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What did I do that I liked? And what did I do that I didn't like? And I think a big thing not to ever do, if you really want to be you, is not fold towards what everyone wants. Like, just whatever you got out there, just put it out there and do it. If you really want to go with a huge publisher, go for it. But be prepared to have to change what they want from you, because they know what the mass crowd wants, or who their crowds are, so they know what they're going to want from your book.
No, that's so true. Wow. Goodness, I'm over here learning, man. I mean, I love it. I didn't realize, just the cost of going through publishers, and just, them wanting to change it if you go through some mass ones. I mean, that's insane. Because even myself, like, I've definitely, it's crossed my mind, when you have a brand, and anybody in general. I mean, I think, honestly, I think everybody, should create a book. We all have a life. We all should, somewhat, put something out there, whether it's, documenting our lives, or, if it's a biography or something. I think we all should have sort of like a biography, and just the process of that. And it all comes back to, the process of doing. Right? You had in your mind that you wanted to write a book. Again, you didn't know how, big into writing, or, whatnot, that you were, and in terms of actually taking it serious. And again, it all comes back to, once you wrote that book, you identified, like, I want to make it happen. And it comes back to doing, and that right there, that's the biggest key people need to have. And man, that's incredible. Okay, so I'll tell you what, let's just transition right now, Micah. I think you'll like this. I like to do a little questionnaire on the show here and everything. So basically, you will pick. Let me get the instructions up here. What you're going to do is you're going to pick from 1 to 50, 3 numbers. Okay, you're going to pick 3 numbers.
3 numbers.
On the scale of 1 to 50, and these numbers can be, any random number, of course. But I really thought, because I know what numbers people pick on a daily, and I sort of made it strategic. So think of course, we'll do the first number, then we'll knock it out, second and third, and then knock it out. So what's your first number?
Let's start with 13.
13. Oh, man. Okay. So, Micah, when did you last cry in front of another person? And then when did you last cry in front of yourself?
Oh, geez. Last time? Wow. Let's see. 2013 was the last time I ever cried in front of someone.
Okay.
And that was the last time that I ever cried.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay. Nice. Yeah, pick another one.
26.
26. This is meant to happen, I'm telling you. What are your top 3 favorite books, and why?
Oh, man. Honestly, The Big Friendly Giant, that's still a classic, because that was the first book that I ever read as a kid that I really actually enjoyed, and that kind of related to how my personality was. And that second favorite book, Oh man. There's just so many books that I like. It's hard to put it to one. Shoot. What is it? The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I want to say.
Yep.
That's another good one. And then it's gonna be weird, but dictionary.
Okay.
That's where I without the dictionary, I'd be lost for figuring out words. You know, gotta have that. It's helped me out writing a lot. I use the thesaurus and the dictionary a lot.
Wow. No, that's incredible. I mean, it's got all the words in there, you know.
Well, it's funny because we forget about the basis of things a lot. You know, you get taught words and how to read English and whatnot, but as soon as you get through school, it's kind of okay. I don't want to learn new words anymore or any of that. It's like you got all this information with all these words in here, you know, that can teach you not just words, but understanding of how to compile language and if you can understand language better, I feel like you can understand yourself better because you can write it down. You can write down more in depth instead of, oh, I feel sad. You know, It's like, okay, why are you feeling sad? Oh, I feel empathetic because of this, or I'm feeling melancholy, or I'm feeling depressed, you know, and like, of course, up here, there's a lot of depression. A lot of people don't want to talk about it for whatever reason. Still don't know, you know, there's just that, but it's like, if you can understand words, you can deeper and find better words that describe you better in a deeper way. It helps me out a lot, understand myself and how to articulate my understanding of myself and my feelings that run through me, and how to really grab hold of what I'm trying to convey rather than, like I'm saying, just write something plain down. You know, you get people write a lot of stuff out there, you know, and you read it and you're bored within like the first couple of seconds. And that can be the same thing with language. Like when you're just in general conversation, if you're talking to someone and they're super melodic and super slow and they use the same words over and over, you don't want to listen to their message as compared to someone that's going to use, you know, not super huge words, but words that to grab your attention, you know. Like one of my favorite words is enthralled. You know, like persuasion is a good one. You know, you have all these words you can use, and there's more to it, but we quickly throw away the dictionary because we want to move on to the next thing. We forget about it. We forget that there's thousands and thousands of words out there that can be used and understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it all comes back to like, I mean, even the tonality people say it, you know, like that's super crucial as well. Because again, I mean, when you meet somebody, you can tell they're pretty advanced by their wording. You know, they're saying like some humongous words, and it's just, wow. I mean, this guy must be from another planet, you know?
Right? Yeah. Some people get way out there. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, but no, I totally agree with that, Micah. Okay, number 3.
42.
42. Okay. Is there anything you constantly lose at your house or anywhere?
Oh man, now my phone.
Your phone, okay.
Do it all the time. I ADD my phone all the time. I can literally have it in my hand,
Yeah.
and I will put it down. You know, I don't know. I'll lose it all the time. I'll never lose it when I go out.
Yeah.
If I go around and whatnot or in my car, but if I'm in my house, I'll forget. I'll be thinking about something else, put it down. I got an idea and walk away. I'm like, I swear I just put it right here. But then it's, for whatever reason, it's on my dresser behind a book, behind something else. I'm like, how the heck did I do that?
No, I'm the same exact way. Not with my phone as much, but like I just got a brand new wallet, and you know the wallet I got and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm used to having one that goes in my back pocket, but with this wallet, I carry it.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I haven't lost it out in public yet. Almost one time, but it's the worst whenever you lose your wallet and, like you said, your phone, because phone's like, it's like our second heart, you know?
Right. Yeah, it has that's where I write most of my poetry. So if I lose that thing, I have it all backed up in email, but I'm still scared that if I have it backed up in email, it's not going to be there.
No, I'm the same exact way.
Yeah,
I'm glad they have apps that can sort of help you track your phone if you ever lose it, you know?
Yeah. I don't even think I have that on my phone. Probably should get it. I think about it all the time.
I was in New York one time for Ty Lopez conference, matter of fact. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was right where the check-in was, and I checked in, and then I went to the actual like area where the conference was at, and I was gonna pull out my Snapchat. This was when Snapchat was super big, right? I mean, it's still,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh shoot, where's my phone? You know that mini heart attack. It's like, oh my gosh, And I was with a buddy of mine, and I said, dude, I think I lost my phone. So we actually went back to the car, which was like several, because New York, I mean, there's no parking whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was at the Roosevelt Hotel in downtown New York, and he downloaded this app, and then we plugged in my email and stuff, and it said my phone, like it wasn't in the car, and it said my phone was actually in the hotel, and I'm like, what? And then I thought instantly, it clicked. I left it literally on the counter, on the table, right where they were checking in. And I went
Mm-hmm.
back and it wasn't there. And I asked the person, I forget his name, but he was one of the people that worked for Knowledge Society, Ty's company. And um, I was like, hey, have you happened to see a phone around here? I lost it. I'm breathing heavily. I'm like, man, this is awful. And they said, yes, we actually do have one. Can you just ask? Can we just ask you a couple questions and stuff? Because we have people that sometimes try to play it off, and they try to steal
Mm-hmm.
phones and stuff. And luckily, I got my phone back. But man, I totally relate with that. Like the phone and man, the wallets. Those things are the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was working valet, I had my wallet and my phone. I had my wallet in my pocket, and I was parking the car, and I didn't know my wallet fell out. And I go up, and I'm like checking my car, it's not there, and I'm freaking out. And I tell the other guy, I'm like, I lost my wallet, I think it fell out. And luckily, he grabbed the first key he just grabbed a random key off the valet box, and there was at least 30 or 40 keys at the time. And he just picked one up, and he went to the car, and I'm like looking around for it on the floor maybe, and I come back, and he goes, I found it, and he found it in the first car. My wallet's just a tiny little. This is just all my wallet is.
Oh wow.
So it's just I freaked out, but he found it first car. I was like, oh, thank God.
Peace and blessings.
Terrible. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Just things that you can lose, and I mean, shoot, we live in a big world, of course,
But yeah. And that's why it's good to have keep track and have a plan for everything that you're doing. It's like when you do anything, you gotta have that plan. Just set up A, B, C, and D what you're gonna do, because if you don't, you lose track of what you're completing. Like with my book, it was a constant, what do I need to get done? Okay, I'm gonna get this done, and once that's done, I move on to this. Just kind of keep track of everything going, because it's easy to lose place when you're working on something. You can lose that one little tool you're using, or you can lose your phone, and you need your phone to take a photo of whatever you're finishing or something. So it's always good to have kind of a layout of tools that you're going to use through your process.
Yeah, the more things, the better that can help you along the way. I totally agree, man. Yeah, so, okay, I guess we'll sort of wrap things up and everything. So typically, the way I like to run things towards the end of the podcast and the show episode, I'd like to sort of leave the viewers and the audience, and even the listeners, with sort of like a golden nugget. Something, whether it's you addressed, or on the episode, or maybe it can be something that just comes to mind, or just something that's on the heart. What's one thing? What's that golden nugget that you want these guys to go away with, and not just go away with, but actually put into action and do?
Be patient is like the biggest thing. Be patient in your process. Be patient in yourself. Be patient in general. It can get agitating when you'll consistently hit resistance over and over. You'll hit a pothole, you'll fall, you'll get up, you fall. Be patient. Let those failures happen. Be patient with your failures. Be patient with your mistakes. You're in a learning process, whatever it may do. Like, you may do something over and over and over, but there's always something better you can do, and there's always something you can learn from it. So you just got to be patient with learning that. And while you're learning things and being patient, take that in, taking all that learning in, just from being patient and letting the process happen, you become that much better of a person. You grow that much more patience, and you're able to go through your process a lot smoother than you were before. And you are willing to take on a lot more if you're a patient person than the person that's just instantly just angry or upset because he couldn't, get the screw to go in this stupid hole, or can't figure out that one sentence, or, missed a note in their song. I'm doing a lot more recording with my poetry and actually reading it, and I've literally had to record certain videos more than 100 times in a row because I mess up on a word or I totally just skipped an entire stanza for whatever reason. And at first I would get really annoyed, but I've learned to just be patient. That's just how it happens, and it becomes fun. You become patient, you fall in love with the process, and you enjoy the challenges and the so-called problems that you run into. So yeah, just be patient.
Absolutely. No, absolutely, Micah. Where do you want the viewers, where do you want the audience to follow you at? Do you have social media?
Oh yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram at Poem Junkie Biffle. You can hit me up at Facebook, which is the same at Poem Junkie Biffle, or you can just type my name in, Micah Park Biffle. You'll find my author page there. You can find my blog post, which is pretty much my site, which has my links to every social media, which is just micahbiffle.com. You can hit me up on that. You can DM me on Instagram. Pretty much all those are open to messaging. So if you got anything you want to ask me about my book or any of that, feel free to do it. I'm always there, always ready to listen, always ready to converse.
Absolutely, man. Guys, you heard it from Micah Biffle. All right, hit this man up. Not just if you're, looking to publish a book or anything, but this guy is absolutely amazing. Of course, with his words, and he's got an incredible, incredible mindset, as you guys can see. Again, follow him at Poem Junkie Biffle on social media, and I'm actually going to put the websites to your Amazon book as well as just your website. In the link below. So if you want to check that out, if you want to support this guy, all right, definitely click the link below. And again, patience is key. Okay, just like Micah said, you gotta love the process. You gotta crave the process. A lot of people they want to, just get there, right? But you gotta crave the process. And you gotta be patient. Well, Micah, hey man, I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks, Nate. It was a good time. Look forward to it next time.
Appreciate you.